Hi, everybody. Um, it had been a while, so I just wanted to say hi. And I have a message. We are approaching a very powerful vortex. In fact, it's a triple vortex. So what's happening on the next new moon, the new moon in Taurus, we have not just a new moon, which is the most potent time to seed intention, which then, is charged up by the waxing lunar phase as it builds to full moon over 2 weeks. But this one is in the sign of Taurus, and that's where the North Lunar Node is at the moment. So I'm going to speak about that for a bit before I speak about this triple vortex that we're coming into and how we can harness its power for the greater good. So many of you will be aware that on May the 5th, 2020, the lunar nodes moved into North Node Gemini, South Node Sagittarius. And Gemini in astrology is understood to be the alchemist, all right, the magician. Now, when that energy is expressed in a positive way, we have the sacred magi. And I'm just going to share my screen with you to show you the symbol that the sacred, oh, have a look at that. Welcome to my desktop. Let me just pull it up. Funny. Here we go. So, got it. So this symbol, the caduceus, this was the symbol of the sacred magi, who archetypally was known as Hermes, the god of wisdom, Thoth to the Egyptians. But this is the alchemist's staff, and you can see on it, it shows the serpents of light, which are the meridians of sacred feminine, sacred masculine energy that, when they're awakened through sacred initiation, awaken our consciousness up through the 7 major energy centers, awakening our awareness. So from the 5th of May, 2020, we were being put through a very intense activation, a global initiation to literally wake up and become wise. All right, to see things clearly by looking at the bitter truth, the shadow. That's what happens when the serpents rise. And why, and I speak about this in my latest book, The Grail, how in ancient Egypt, those that held any mantle of earthly power had to raise their serpents, their consciousness, to be considered, able to hold power responsibly. So this was the symbol of alchemy. And when that's expressed in a positive way, this is a time of ascension, okay, of the getting of wisdom, of us awakening our multi-dimensional awareness, which is to become soul-centered, because the soul is multi-dimensional. It's like a diamond blueprint. So when we awaken these serpents, we open the 7 eyes of God, the 7 eyes of perception, and we can see that which is hidden, okay, as well as that which is obvious. Now, when this energy is expressed in a shadow way, we don't have the sacred magi, we have the lowly magician, who is an illusionist, someone who casts an illusion with their silvery tongue, okay, with their clever words, with their clever mind, and they tell you what it is you want to hear, but really they're imposing their will on you, okay? So it's like a type of hypnosis, and this is done by those who haven't awakened their serpents, so they are like snakes in a bag. Not to be trusted, okay? So yeah, now on January the 18th this year, the lunar nodes, which are known as the cosmic dragon, the head and tail of the cosmic dragon, and they initiate us through our big collective karmic lessons. The nodes moved into Taurus, north node, and Scorpio, south node. So with the north node in Taurus, we think about north node on a compass. That's where we're headed collectively, all right? Our direction, our trajectory. Taurus is the sign of earthly love. This is a time when beloveds will be coming together who share a joint purpose to be of service to the greater good. And this year, 2022, is, numerologically a portal for that. So this is a time where the power of love can transcend the love of power, which again is the theme of my latest book, The Grail. And I'll put a link in the description at the end. So this is a time for us to embody what we've learned in the last 18 months, to embody loving wisdom, okay? Because we can't be loving unless we are wise, okay? When we're ignorant, we are fear-based and we're all out for ourselves. It's all about self-interest, okay? And so the shadow expression of this is the opposite of earthly love. It's earthly greed, okay? So what we're seeing at the moment is a covert land grab. We have the imposing of will on the natural world, i.e. geoengineering, in order to clear people out of the places of natural beauty and the places that are powerful vortices where many dragon lines or ley lines intercept, creating portals. And these are the places many people have been attracted to, called to come in order to charge them up with energy for our collective ascension into what is prophesied as the second coming, which is not a single dude turning up, but in fact, the second coming is us moving into the God force, the age of light, the age of Aquarius. The first coming is when we move into the age of Leo, the opposite sign, for 2,000 years. And we're bathed in the photon energy. The photons are particles of light. And so, as we draw closer and closer to our entry into the photon belt, into the age of light, this is our final test, all right? So we see many seizing material resources at the moment. We're going to see that, with the new cryptocurrencies and the sort of changing of the guard with the fiat currency moving away and the cryptocurrencies moving in. So, this is a time when, crisis always shows us who we really are, okay, at our absolute core. It brings out the best or the worst. So this is a time to really honor your body, to be as loving as possible towards yourself, have regular body work for trauma release, really honor your body's needs, be your own body whisperer, touch yourself. Now, I know that probably sounds quite radical and taboo, but touch is the most primal form of love. Without it, as babies, we die. So we live in a touch-starved world. If you go to more feminine cultures, those that are more, considered the developing world, that which has been oppressed by the more masculine cultures during patriarchy, people grow up learning how to massage just as you would learn how to cook. It's understood that it's a function that we need to be touched. So if, you're not in a partnership where you're getting hugged, where you're snuggling and cuddling with your beloved or your children, you need to have regular touch, whether that's booking, massage or making love to yourself. And this can be a very powerful way of moving grief out of the temple, the body temple, and holding a space with reverence for yourself to really honor what the body holds, because we hold emotional pain in our tissues. So if you've been feeling pain in your body, inflammation, this is a sign there is unexpressed emotion, sadness, and grief. So we can hold space emotionally for each other. This is something we're not taught to do. In my conscious relating course, I give an example of how we can show up and do that for each other, which is on my website, themoonwoman.com. But now I would like to speak specifically to the new moon in Taurus and how potent this vortex is, and how collectively, as the one unity consciousness, we can harness this portal for the greater good. Now, as I said before, new moon is when we seed intention. And here, where I am glad to finally have a place to call home for the start of the new cycle, you know, with the sun in Aries, the first sign of the astrological wheel. The last two new moons, we had manipulated weather, cloud seeding. You'd see, you know, in the sky like popcorn, clouds that had been seeded, and then the next day we would have full cloud cover and rain. And this went on and on until we had flooding. But it was done specifically at the last two new moons. So those that are, you know, in this final sort of showdown in their bid for ultimate earthly power, because they haven't understood what it is to experience divine power and how much more transcendent that is when we open ourselves up to experience that through an act of ego surrender. Those who haven't done that are often, you know, trying to seek power in order to feel safe, because the only given in our world is change. And if we're not in right relationship with the feminine, we fear change. So we try to control everything in life. So those that are trying to wield ultimate power are those who are most afraid of the feminine principle, which is chaos, change, the unknown. So new moon is the most feminine time of the lunar month. And this coming new moon in Taurus, which is falling on May the 1st or April the 30th, depending on which side of the date line you're on, this is the sign of earthly love. So I would strongly encourage you to be doing what it is that you love, or making love, whether it's to yourself or somebody else, at that time, to charge up the magnetic grid of the earth with love, to heal the fear that creates a need to try and control, which restricts life and is what we would call evil, the opposite of live. So this new moon in Taurus, I said before, is a triple vortex, because new moon is a 3-day vortex, the day before, during, and after. It's a time of accelerated understanding and awareness. If we understand that, we can work with the energy by going deep within, by doing meditation, by doing ceremony, to focus on what it is that we are needing to release, what it is we've outgrown, and what it is we need to set intention for, to seed for the coming month. Now, May the 1st, you might have heard of the darling buds of May. This traditionally was the day of the rites of spring, of Beltane. So that's in the northern hemisphere. It's the halfway point between the seasonal festival of Imbolc, like this beautiful sunbeam coming down on me, when the first rays of light enter the cave of darkness that we've been hibernating in winter. So halfway between Imbolc and the summer solstice. So it's the most fertile time. And it's a time when people would plunge the maypole into the ground, representing the phallus of the sacred masculine, into the fecund fertility of the earth mother, decorate it, dance around, put flowers, mysterious little posies on their neighbors' doorsteps. It was a time of celebrating life, when Gaia, the earth mother, was said to have a new green dress on. So it's a very powerful time, and those that practice the Hieros Gamos, which I speak about in my book, The Grail, which was the ancient religion of love, to heal the earth through coming together with your opposite as conduits for sacred feminine and masculine during these power windows, these seasonal vortices. So in the Southern Hemisphere, this is Halloween, or Samhain, or Hallows Eve, the halfway point between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. So this is the festival of death, understanding that if we're not in right relationship with death, with letting go, with accepting the necessity for endings, with grieving what has been so that we can be available to new opportunities in the spring, this is a time when people would acknowledge their shadow. What's the shadow? Well, the parts of us that act out in unconscious ways, the parts of us that are wounded and unhealed, shamed. We lock them away and they often become distorted for fear of being judged. So this is a time where we would dress up as our shadow in order to bring the light of laughter to it and to own it in a fun way. I've dressed up as Death Warmed Up when I was a single mum and very exhausted for Halloween. I dressed up as Devil Woman to own my dark mother because I wasn't coping. So it's a way of acknowledging I am that too. I'm not just love and light, and the more responsible we become for our personal shadow, the more wise we are, the more mature we are, the more in integrity we are. So it's new moon, it's Beltane and Halloween, depending on which hemisphere you're in, but it's also a solar eclipse. Now I'm going to show you another symbol, the mandala. Here it is. There. Now, this was the ancient symbol of the Grail. Again, I speak about this in my Grail book, and it is the coming together of opposite forces. Now, right now, we're living through what was prophesied as Armageddon, which is a time when opposites clash. But the way that we heal that is through the coming together of opposites harmoniously with sacred intention. And look what happens when feminine, masculine, light and dark, spirit and matter come together. It creates the all-seeing eye. So the idea that the all-seeing eye is, understanding all of life's mysteries and secrets comes through an ascent of power, clambering up the pyramid of power and stepping on those beneath you in order to try and feel safe in the earthly realm. That is a complete distortion. And that's something I speak about in more detail in my free presentation about the Grail. And I'll leave a link for that in the description. So this is a wonderful time, this coming new moon in Taurus, which is a solar eclipse, to meditate on this symbol of the mandala, which helps to create the harmonic integration of opposites within your own psyche, which means soul. It's also a wonderful time to do ceremony honoring this symbol. Okay, so those of you that are ceremonial holders, that this is a wonderful time to hold sacred space, whether that's public or private, to charge up this symbol. So you might want to create a beautiful flower mandala on the floor with tea light candles in it and invite everybody to tone or meditate on this symbol, or to walk in this symbol, as we did at a ceremony that I created for the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022, to activate this symbol. But the reason this is such a powerful portal to do a mandala ceremony is the sun and the moon will be creating this sacred geometry in the sky above us. Okay, so we have at a solar eclipse, from our vantage point on Earth, it looks as if the sun and the moon cross over and they create this symbol. So this is a time for us to come together with love in our hearts, knowing that we are each a portal or a conduit for anchoring heaven on earth. And all of us that are here at this time put our hands up to serve Gaia in this way. Gaia, our mother, the living entity who gives us food and water and air and shelter and meets all of our needs through the power of her earthly elements. You know, this is a way we can give back to her. We can give thanks because, you know, the reason we all got the opportunity to be here at this time for the turning of the ages was because we answered a call out from her. You know, she put a call out through all space and time, and we are the ones that responded to that call. She said, please come, hold the light when it is the darkest before the dawn. And so the way we can do that, rather than shadow boxing everything that's happening out in the external 3D world, is by being the rainbow warriors and raising the frequency, the vibration to match the photon belt, ready for our entry point, which I feel will happen on the 6th of the 6th, which adds up to 666, which was in the ancient world the number of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, which again was distorted. So I received a message. I was lucky enough to go to a beautiful sanctuary, a garden called Crystal Castle we have here near Byron Bay in Australia, and they're beautiful temple gardens with statues of the gods and the goddess and labyrinths and spirals made up of huge boulders of rose quartz and other huge, you know, crystal caves you can sit in and things. And when I was walking the rose quartz labyrinth, I received the message that for those of you like me who have this vision, this dream in your heart of living in sacred communities, in harmony with the land and her cycles, i.e. living in the ancient way, the way of the Grail, in sacred union with the cycles of the earth and the cosmos, which is the theme of my latest book, the Grail, then know that don't try to manifest it right now. It's premature. The opportunity will come suddenly when we enter through this portal, okay, that is coming this year. It's getting very close. And when we enter through this portal, we will be able to create miraculously, instantaneously. We will have a lot of help from our stellar benevolent neighbors, and we will create these beautiful crystalline cities on the ley lines, beautiful sacred temples for us to heal our hearts and heal the earth. So the time is drawing closer and closer. And another confirmation I had of that was at the time of exact new moon in Aries. And I was lucky enough to be sitting at the most eastern point of Australia, the place of the rising sun, the birthing energies, which is where my new home is. Bless the universe and its wisdom. And I was looking out across the ocean, across the most incredible skyscape. In fact, I'll upload the photo of the image that I had. And I was guided just to put my eyes slightly out of focus and gaze into the sun, knowing that within the first 10 minutes of dawn or the last 10 minutes of dusk, sunset, it is safe to look into the sun and do the yogic practice of sun eating. It literally feeds the light body. But outside of that time, you'll damage your retinas. So if you're going to practice sun eating, only first 10 minutes of dawn, last 10 minutes of sunset. So I'm looking into the sun. I'm just putting my eyes slightly out of focus, and I saw the most incredible rainbow halo. It was massive. Around the orb of the sun disk was intense fuchsia, so electric, shocking pink, and then every color of the rainbow, and it was huge. And the message was, we are close. So please hold the light, hold the love, and do ceremony. There's never been a more potent time. And if you feel to share this call out, then please do so. And have a blessed day. Ciao for now.